So here I have the Vaio Pro 11. It's the 4 gig RAM and 128 gig SSD version. Picked up an open box today. Together was about $1,000. We got it here next to the W530 and the Vaio Z 2009 edition. As you can see, the Vaio Pro is pretty tiny. And W530 is obviously pretty huge, although the new model is actually fairly slim here. It's not quite as bulky as the old ones. Alright, so I'm actually about to return this Vaio Pro. I've had it for about 2 weeks. It's been a pretty awesome computer. It has great battery life, about 5, maybe 6 hours. It has a fantastic screen. And so basically the reason I'm going to return it is, one, I do not like the keyboard at all. And using it in store, I thought I'd get used to it, and it wasn't too small. It's a little bit smaller, but it really has kind of like a sheepish feel to it, and yeah, it's not fun to type on. Also, the touchpad seems to work oddly. Sometimes it won't fully respond to my touch, and the 2-finger scroll on this computer, there's something not right with it. I'm not sure if it's maybe with Google Chrome, but with other browsers and in, say for example, in Firefox and Internet Explorer and in Windows, 2-finger scroll works with no issues. But as soon as, let's see, so for example here it's working, you can see. But as soon as I open a new tab in Chrome or visit a website, it doesn't work for the first 10 or 20 seconds, and I'll do the standard tap on the background so you can kind of register that you're on the screen, but no matter what, it often won't work. Like right now it's working because this page has been open here for a little while, but not normally. So let's say some positive points about this computer. It's pretty damn fast, and also has fantastic sound. I know a lot of the reviewers said that the sound on this computer was terrible, but I beg to differ. For example, here's just some random YouTube video.
Put something on the turntable here, and it turns. Ladies at home, this means you get to explore the frontier of desktop 3D scanning and make wonderful designs that you can either print on your MakerBot.
So as you can hear, that's pretty loud, especially if you're in a room and just watching a movie on your bed. It's pretty amazingly loud, and if you're using VLC, you can boost the sound even further. It's one of the loudest laptops I've seen. Even just here, we can compare it to the W530 here, which generally has pretty good sound. Oh. So just click on some random video here. So you can tell it's really not quite as loud, and the sound doesn't feel as full. In some ways the Vaio Pro almost has more bass. Alright, so other good points about this computer is obviously extremely light at 1.8 pounds. It's extremely thin. It's fantastic for just watching something in bed and kind of using it as a light netbook. Though I've almost found it to be too light in certain situations. For example, when you're laying in bed, it almost doesn't lay on top of you. Any little bump kind of makes it move easily. It doesn't kind of sit down. It just kind of wobbles, and every time you type on it, it ends up bouncing left and right. So in the end, I decided that I don't really need this computer, so I am going to return it, but I just wanted to point out that it is a great travel computer. Overall, there's no problems with it. It is very quick, although it seems like it's a netbook. It screams along pretty well. It's not quite that fast, but I mean, it tends to kind of lock up sometimes. I'm not sure, it's a little odd, but often you'll click on things, and even though everything will be running quickly, it'll just kind of sit there for 10 or 15 seconds, and then it'll finally launch. It's a little odd. So, yeah, this is the Vaio Vaio Z 2009. So I just wanted to give kind of a basic overview. I've had this computer for 2 weeks. Yeah, I've not had any Wi-Fi troubles. I know there's been a lot of Wi-Fi issues with this computer. Currently, it's updated to the latest BIOS as of yesterday, and every other driver. Fan noise related. Let's see. Basically, the last BIOS, which I upgraded yesterday, has actually created a little bit of fan noise. I don't know if you can hear anything. It's pretty quiet, but until of yesterday, actually, I've never even heard the fan. So the latest BIOS made it. Sometimes I can hear it now. See, what else can I say about this computer here? The carbon fiber material, it's pretty nice. It gets kind of bumped a little easily. I have already a tiny little bump here. You probably can't see it. No, I don't think you can see it. Oh, yeah, there's that little scuff mark right in the center there. Also, I got a tiny little scratch here on the back. I'm hoping there's no issue when I go to return it later. So yeah, anyone that's looking for a tiny computer, I definitely recommend this. I probably would go for something a little larger, because the 11-inch screen, if you're planning to use a computer for any more than an hour or two a day, it's going to slowly make you blind. And the other thing I wanted to point out is the 1920 by 1080 resolution. This, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of this on an 11.6-inch screen. It definitely makes things pretty tiny. For example, I mean, I have everything scaled to 150%, but there are definitely certain applications that don't work with the scaling, something you'll install, maybe an installer, and the text would just be tiny. And the biggest issue I've found is when you remote onto other machines. For example, you use remote desktop. Unless you do some tweaking to get the screen resolution to be zoomed in, basically it ends up whoa, something fell here from the window. So yeah, if you remote desktop into another computer and you don't tweak anything and it loads it natively at 1080p, the screen just ends up being absolutely tiny. And since I'm often remoting onto servers or kind of troubleshooting things, this is just, it's very frustrating, because it's almost like reading, I almost have to use a magnifying glass here. So yeah, this is the Vaio Pro 11. It's a pretty decent machine, and I do recommend it if you're looking for something very tiny.